Introduced in MhTri on the Wii, the Switch Axe was the first of its kind. Being the first morphing weapon in the mainline series, the Switch Axe has two special forms. The standard form is Axe mode. This mode has a long reach, but attacks pretty slowly. At the press of a button, the Switch Axe will switch into Sword mode. This mode grants faster and stronger attacks at the cost of movement speed and a much shorter reach. Mastering the Switch Axe requires thinking ahead in battle, knowing when it's best to stay at a distance with the axe or get up close and personal with the sword. Keep that sharpness high and those files recharged. We're going to need our sword energy to show off how the Switch Axe changed, starting in MhTri up to the newest Sunbreak expansion. After completing the Village 2 Urgent in MhTri, the Switch Axe is unlocked. Every game after Tri starts off with the Switch Axe already unlocked. Taking some elements from the Gunlance, the Switch Axe can come in different variations when it comes to Sword mode, and these variations come in file type. Files are pretty important to the weapon, but they only affect Sword mode attacks. The most popular and common type, Power Files give a 25% attack boost to sword attacks, 20% in Portable Third and 3 Ultimate. Element Files also grant a 25% boost for elemental damage. Paralysis Files are a bit uncommon, but they give a paralysis attribute when in Sword mode. Dragon Files, unsurprisingly, add the dragon element to sword slashes. With the next input, the hunter will bring the axe over their head and do a forward chop. This is the Switch Axe's strongest single hit move, so this is excellent for waking up monsters. It also has excellent reach upwards for hitting wyverns out of the air. Moving and pressing X will do a forward stab. From here, the hunter can do the overhead slice and the rest of its combos. Pressing X after the overhead slice will do a sideways swing. This attack is fast, but it is also much weaker than the overhead slice. This is also the unsheath attack, and pressing A will do the same move. After the sideways slice, an upswing will be performed. Pressing start will go straight into the upswing if you don't want a combo to this. The upswing also has great reach upwards while being a fast attack. Just watch out as this can send teammates flying. The main purpose of this move is to lead into the hack and slash. Spamming X after the upswing will do the hack and slash. With each swing, a bit of stamina will be used up. This attack will stop when the stamina runs out or the player stops pressing X. Pressing R while standing still will switch the axe's form into a sword. While in this form, this weapon will use the file's energy, plus granting the weapon Mind's Eye. For any weapons that require awakening for the element, Sword mode will just auto-awaken it. When the energy runs out, the hunter is forced to switch back to Axe mode in a very lengthy animation. When the bar lowers to a certain point, switching back or putting the weapon away will have the file slowly recharge. Trying to use the Sword mode will then prompt the hunter to reload a part of the file. Pressing R again while standing still will morph the weapon once more. These are the slowest methods to switch between forms. We'll get to the shortcut soon enough. Also, if you have focus, the sword gauge will recharge a bit faster. Pressing A will do the downward slice, and pressing it once more will do an upward swing. Pressing X and moving will also do the downward slice, and attacking after a roll will do the upward swing. This combo is excellent for damage, and the hunter is able to hop out of the combo when needed. Moving the analog stick during the combos will move the hunter a bit into that direction as they slash. Standing still while pressing X will do the sideways slice. This can also be performed by pressing X after the downward slice. Pressing X again will continue the combo. This is weaker than the A infinite combo, but is great for a shortcut. Pressing start while in sword mode will have the hunter thrust the sword in front of them. This can also send teammates flying. Pressing X or start repeatedly will combo into the elemental burst with enough presses. This does a good deal of damage, but also takes up a lot of the file gauge. Failing to spam the button long enough will just end the combo. Holding back on the analog stick while mashing the X button will prematurely end the combo and go straight into the elemental burst. This takes up less file gauge than going through the entire combo, but this also does less damage than charging it up fully. After the burst, the Switch Axe will revert back into Axe mode. Note that the burst does cutting damage, but a cancelled burst will not cut off a tail. After the forward thrust, pressing R will do a morphing attack into sword mode. This is best used to close a gap while getting ready to do the sword's combos. Pressing R after the sideways chop in sword mode will switch back into Axe mode with another sideways chop. This is also a great way to get into the hack and slash. Pressing R, X, and A with the weapon sheathed will unsheath directly into the sword mode. You may have noticed that a lot of the switch axes move have pretty long recovery times. Like the greatsword, the hunter needs to roll or hop to cancel out the recovery animation. Later games make this window to get out of attacks much easier, but this is a crucial skill when using either mode. While underwater, the axe provides excellent reach, and thus makes it a pretty good weapon to use underwater. However, sword mode's extra short reach kinda makes it a bit difficult to use, but otherwise, the same usual awkwardness of underwater combat is a factor of this weapon. In Portable Third and 3 Ultimate, the Swords mode standard combo is changed to be a continuous X combo. The elemental burst is performed by pressing X plus A and mashing the X button. The upswing got changed to be a combination of X plus A or triangle plus circle with multiple A inputs doing the hack and slash. Pressing X or triangle would do a powerful overhead slice to finish the combo. It is also much easier to hop out of this combo in Portable Third and 3 Ultimate. Using this move in Tri leaves the hunter very vulnerable in most situations. There are also 2 new file types, Poison and Exhaust. Poison is similar to Paralysis, but poison. Exhaust is an interesting one as it turns the sword into a cutting impact weapon on some hits. It is pretty difficult to pull off on some monsters, but it can also KO monsters if you slash at their head enough while in sword mode. Pressing X while in mid-air will do the overhead chop in axe mode and a downward swing in sword mode. Pressing X plus A will do the elemental discharge. Pressing R while mid-air will change the weapon's mode. If you need to reload, that is also possible while in mid-air. Pressing X after a roll will do the upward swing, making it easier to go into the hack and slash. Pressing R during the hack and slash will do a powerful roundhouse slash. Pressing R once more will do a morph attack into sword mode. The second X input now does the sideways slice. With a third X input, the hunter would do 2 slashes with the sword for the price of 1 sword attack. This combo is pretty strong, but a little awkward to use if you're used to the infinite combo, as this attack will move the hunter a lot. And the regular combo got changed to be X, A, X, and repeat that. Generations changed the sword's infinite combo back to X inputs. Generations Ultimate made it so that when morphing from axe to sword, if the sword has a status file, it will be guaranteed to be a status hit. Striker's style loses the hack and slash finisher and sword mode's double sword slash. Besides that, the switch axe is unchanged. Aerial style takes away the forward thrust in axe mode and the elemental discharge while on the ground. Another morph shortcut was added. Pressing R after an upward swing will morph the axe into sword mode. Vaulting off a target in axe mode allows a downward chop. Sword mode auto attacks when doing the vault, with the option of doing a downwards attack with X. You can also slightly reposition while mid-air. Sword mode can also do an elemental burst mid-air if they so desire. This does a bit more damage than the regular grounded elemental discharge. Adept style is similar to Striker in the fact that the hack and slash roundhouse finisher is removed, but it also has the upswing morph shortcut in GenU. Sword mode loses the upward slice, so it is pretty difficult to stay in place while doing sword combos. Doing an adept evade will do the roundhouse finisher in axe mode, and the double upward slice in sword mode. Alchemy style is a very interesting way to play the switch axe. X inputs do axe combos while A does sword moves. When alternating forms, the weapon will auto-morph depending on the button you press. So the only thing you have to focus on is whether each form is better for what situation. When needing to reload, the switch axe will do a nifty quick reload similar to a certain hunter art. You can also just press R plus X plus A for it. When not in Valor mode, the switch axe cannot do the roundhouse finisher or the double sword slash along with all morph attacks. Tapping Y and then X in axe mode will do the roundhouse slash. Pressing R will morph into sword mode. When in sword mode, tapping Y and then X will do an upward slice. Pressing A will do the double sword slash, with R morphing back into X mode. When in Valor mode, the hunter will do the Valor step, and the sword gauge will refill faster than normal. Pressing R will now do a powerful morph attack, and this can be comboed as well. Doing the elemental discharge will now have the sword burst twice. This is weaker than the regular elemental burst, but this can be cancelled much sooner. With a quick reload, the switch axis file gauge is restored. At higher levels, the file is completely restored, alongside gaining some affinity. In GenU, this hunter art takes a bit longer to charge up. Unleashing the file's true potential, the sword flares up, giving it a power boost until the file runs out. Attacks will not lower the gauge. Using energy charge will lengthen the time the MhRise is active, plus their effects will stack. So at level 3 for both arts, that's 30% affinity plus a 20% boost in the file's effects. Trans-slash does a relentless barrage of slashes that alternate between sword and axe mode, finishing a combo with an elemental burst. You do need the file gauge to be filled enough for the burst, or else the combo will end awkwardly. Having Demon Riot active will change the finisher to be stronger. This attack covers a lot of ground with chances to move, but this can also trip up teammates while doing so. On top of that, this hunter art will stack with GenU's Tempest Axe, making the starting swings faster with more hits. After 2 swings, the switch axis axe mode is now made faster. The unsheath attack is faster and the thrust swing is about 25% faster. The hack and slash combo stamina use is halved, with the second swing being 10% faster and anything beyond the third being 25% faster. After the third swing, pressing X will now do a strong finisher. Monster Hunter World simplified the switch axe with morphing attacks being able to be done after most attacks. When morphing, a little bit of file gauge is also restored. The hunter can even morph after rolling and pressing R2. There is now a gauge that fills up when attacking in sword mode. Once the outline is filled up, this is the amp state. Foul attacks will now hit twice, with the elemental burst now latching onto the monster to finish off the elemental burst. This is the zero-sum discharge. The amp state only lasts for a short while, but having power prolonger will lengthen the power up for just a bit longer, up to 90 seconds longer. The hack and slash was changed to not require the upswing and is begun by pressing circle. The bread and butter sword combo is now triangle 3 times, that loops back around with the triangle inputs. Pressing circle in between the triple triangle inputs is a better option for damage while in sword mode. There are 2 forms of fade slashes that are great for evasion. After attacking in axe mode, holding back on the analog stick and pressing circle will do a backwards fade slash. This can be looped by fade slashing, pressing triangle, and fade slashing again. After attacking in sword mode and pressing R2, along with holding back on the analog stick, a morphing fade slash will be performed. So this can be used to be evasive as well as restoring a bit of the foul gauge. Pressing circle will do the double sword slash, but pressing it once more will do the Heaven Sword Flurry. While it does not deal that much damage, it boosts the amp gauge a fair bit with each swing. If the hunter wants to, they can even do an elemental discharge after the Heaven Sword Flurry attack. When sliding, pressing triangle would do a rising slash with the axe. Pressing R2 would do a rising swing with the sword instead. The hunter can attack once more with R2, or even do the elemental discharge. They don't really get anything flashy for running off walls, just a regular axe swing with triangle, and a sword swing with R2. Using the clutch claw attack in axe mode would do a 2-hit tenderizing stab. Having the sword out would do the same attack. When doing the elemental discharge, the hunter can press L2 to fire the clutch claw and latch onto the monster. When attacking in axe mode, if the slinger is loaded, they can fire a slinger burst. It is also possible to morph after a slinger burst. After 3 or so swings of the hack and slash, pressing triangle will do the heavy axe slam. When this attack connects, a little bit of the amp gauge will glow. This shows that the axe mode can now do more damage towards staggering monsters. There are also a couple of new powerful morphing attacks after a couple of moves. After the heavy slam and morphing, the switch to sword mode will do the powerful triple swing. Morphing after any A attack will do a strong double slash with the axe. The amp state charging speed is dependent on which file type it is. The fastest charge up is Poison/Dragonfile. The next one is a tie between Elemental and Exhaust, then Paralysis, and the slowest is Powerfile. Pressing ZL plus A will do a quick sword recharge after a dash. This move has a little bit of iframes and behaves like a mini Demon Riot, making any sword moves not decrease the gauge for about 7 seconds. The forward overhead smash covers a lot more distance before landing a powerful downwards chop. It can make positioning difficult at times if the hunter is within close range of the monster and there is a good amount of delay at the start of the attack. Resembling the Demon Riot plus Trance/Finisher, the compressed finishing discharge does a circling slash at the end of the elemental discharge. While strong, this move can send teammates flying and uses a lot of the sword gauge. Pressing ZL plus X will send the hunter forward with the wire bug. During this dash, the hunter has hyper armor. You can then aim up the final powerful finisher with the left stick. Pressing X afterwards will do the side slash. Moving the analog stick backwards, and X will do the fade slash. And R/ZR will do a morphing attack. Soaring Wyvern Blade sends the hunter into the air. Pressing X afterwards will have them do a diagonal dive bomb in front of them. This attack builds up a lot of amp gauge and deals a powerful explosion where the sword made contact. This move can also be done at the end of the zero-sum discharge, effectively creating a second finisher for the move. Rapid Morph increases the speed at which the switch axe will change its mode. At level 3, this speeds up the animation by 30% and gives an extra 20% damage boost for the morphing attack. The 10.0 update for Sunbreak gave the wide sweeps, the second/third finisher, more attack power and increased part break damage. It also reduced the amount of wild swings the player needs to do before the heavy slam. The buffs at the heavy slam now also includes part break and flinch multipliers. After the wild swing, the 2-stage morph/combo switches to sword mode and then back into axe mode by pressing R/R2 again. The switches build up a good amount of amp state and restores a good chunk of the sword gauge. The wire step is a quick evasive wire bug skill that gives a lot of iframes during the move. This has a lot of good synergy with evasive skills like status trigger and adrenaline rush. Swapping out the switch charger for the elemental burst counter allows the hunter to do a counter attack that requires a little bit of preparation. Simply just pressing ZL plus A and then R will do a small burst. If the hunter is hit during the burst, they will do a powerful counter that fills up/refreshes the amp gauge while avoiding any damage during the attack. There is a new Rampage decoration introduced in Sunbreak that aids with the file recharge and even boosts morph attacks by a decent amount. The Switch Axe is an absolute DPS monster that has the ability to essentially be two different weapons that excel in many different situations. The early games were a bit clunky when it came to the morph attacks and kept the axe mode in the dark for most of the time. Similar to the dual blades and demon mode, a Switch Axe user in the early generations would only stick to using the sword mode attacks and only switch to axe mode when they needed to recharge or they needed to have a longer reach. With the simplification of morphing in World, the Switch Axe was able to truly shine as a morphing weapon, as there were now rewards for switching upkeeping both the amp state for stronger sword attacks and a zero-sum discharge and the axe's heavy slam for flinching monsters more often. While fledgling players will most likely stick to spamming the zero-sum discharge, the more advanced the player is, the more opportunities they will spot as a morph from each of the weapon's modes, making the best of any situation work in their favor. Well, until the next episode.